But today, my friend Kelly Underwood is joining us.
Hello.
And Kelly, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kelly Underwood. I had the privilege of working with Sunrise Publishing and working with Lynette Eason on my first novel that was released on October 4th. I live in the Orlando, Florida area, so Disney.
Yeah.
That's what everybody thinks of and when they think of Orlando. But there are some nice suburbs and a lot to do in Orlando besides Disney. And I have my whole family here, and I've just kind of been living in the Orlando area for most of my life.
That's awesome. So, what was it like working with Lynette? Because Lynette is an amazing romantic suspense writer. And to have your first book be with her, what was that experience like?
Just I always say a dream come true. I have been a Lynette fan for so long. Like I read the original Elite Guardian series when it came out. I've just been such a fan of her. So to get that call that I was, chosen to work with her, because with Sunrise, what they do is they take a lead author, someone who's established, who's, written a lot of books and is an expert. And then they pair first time authors or people who are just kind of starting out. So you get that mentorship. And it's just amazing to work with her. I mean, she's so nice and she's so friendly, but she's got the knowledge and she's so willing to, help. And it was just such a great experience. Yeah.
So, this is your first book, which
Yes.
congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
What was one thing about the book writing process that surprised you?
Just how long it takes in general. It's a lengthy process. I think I got a contract and the book came out in 22 months later, but all of the work that goes in between, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so you were working with characters from her Elite Guardian series, which
Yes.
is such a fun series to read. I still remember reading it for the first time. And how did you pick Laila as the character that you're like, that's the lady I want to write a book about?
Well, she just seems so interesting. Um, you know, she had a Jewish last name, so immediately you think Mossad. Like I'm like, she has to be a Mossad agent. And of course, we were talking earlier, like people think of Ziva from NCIS, and so she had that kind of mysterious feel. When you think of Mossad, you're like, what do they do? They're very secretive. So I was just intrigued by just her whole kind of personality and things like that. But like Lynette didn't have a lot to say about Laila. Like she showed up in the last novel, but she didn't really have a huge role. So there was like, yes, there's a character established, but I have this whole like kind of blank slate because we don't really know her background. We don't really know her story that I got to fill in. So
That is so fun. And I mean, it sounds like Lynette really did let y'all just kind of have free reign and develop these characters in the way that you saw them.
yes, yes. I mean, we wrote a proposal so that they could, Sunrise could get an idea of where you would take the character. But yeah, we had a lot of free reign because these were kind of side characters, maybe second, excuse me, maybe secondary characters that didn't have a lot, to do, but they were kind of in the stories. So yeah, we had a lot of freedom.
That's awesome. And Nina has chimed in to say that she loves Ziva too. And
Oh,
our family is big on the NCIS series. My dad was actually wearing his Gibbs sweatshirt earlier this week. And so
nice.
it's always fun when you can see those kind of inspirations or
Yes.
references in a book. So tell us about the hero, because he's kind of different too.
Yeah, so he's kind of reformed. So, prior to the story, he kind of had that reputation. So he's comes from a very rich family. I always think of like the Kardashians, just kind of like those reality star TVs, they're everywhere. And so he was kind of grew up in that lifestyle and got caught up in the money and the fame and things like that. And so he kind of disappeared from the scene. He was tired of that. Some bad things happened and he left. So this story is about him coming back and he's like, I'm a changed person, but no one believes it. So
And isn't that something that often we struggle with?
yeah.
People don't see the ways we've changed or they keep expecting us to
Yeah.
fail. And so that felt really real to me as I was reading it. Just that I left to escape this. And now, because of a tragedy, I had to come back
Yeah.
and I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's
And then
exactly
his
Preston
sister,
happened. Yeah.
yeah. And then his sister is so like the Kardashians. Was
Yes.
she fun to write, or was she kind of like, you're like, I got to have someone who kind of feels a little evil, but maybe not totally evil?
Well, and I kind of was like, well, maybe, you never know. I kind of had a lot of red herrings in there. But I did try and give her some grounding because at first I was like, she's kind of a caricature because she's just so out there. And I
Yeah.
love crazy characters, but I made her a little too crazy at first. So I had to kind of give her some, a human side because she was, just kind of that like lived her life streaming online and just kind of that selfish kind of attitude. So yeah, she was fun to write, but yeah, I wanted her to have a soft human side too, because, she's, I want to make sure my characters are grounded and, dimensional.
Yeah, and often I think sometimes when we're writing, it can be very easy to make someone who we know they're the bad person, and not that she is, but
Yeah.
just when we're writing, it can be real easy to go too far and make someone more of a cardboard character than an
Yeah.
actual kind of grounded. And so then the challenge is to pull it back and be like,
Yeah.
okay, not every villain is purely evil. It's
Mhm.
there's more well-rounded to most
Yeah.
people. So
Exactly.
I
And you
could
never want a
see.
villain that's like a cartoon character, like you want, because you want someone that's going to be human-like.
Yeah, exactly. And then as a reader, we always pick
Hmm.
up on those.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you didn't expect to learn while you were writing for Sunrise and Lynette that you're like, oh my gosh, that made the whole experience worth it?
Well, being a new writer, I just didn't understand the whole process of publishing. Um, the rounds of editing you go through and the different types of editing. And honestly, like, I think for me, just noticing how much better I got at writing every time I wrote, and every time I learned something and then I was able to apply that, like I could just see myself getting better and better. And that was such a great process too. Um, and having wonderful editors too to kind of help point me in the right direction and make the script or the manuscript stronger. I mean, that was just invaluable.
That's awesome. And I think that's one of the things that I love most about writing
Mhm.
is I'm working on my 39th or 40th book right now. And I'm
Wow.
like, I am still, there are ways I can grow. And I've got edits on another book sitting on my desk going,
Yeah.
okay, I just got pushed harder, faster, farther, and that's great. You can
Mhm.
never arrive. There's always something to do and to go
Yeah.
deeper in. So when you're not writing, what's your life look like?
Well, I do have a day job. I work in insurance. So I do, it is a little hard to balance full-time work and then I feel like sometimes full-time writing. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I know you have such a busy schedule too. So, but I still try and spend time with my family. I've got some nieces and nephews I love to hang out with. And so, I do try and have some fun times too. And so it does create a busy schedule, but I
Yeah,
manage. Yeah.
absolutely. And a supportive husband helps a lot for
Uh,
me.
yeah, I
But
can imagine. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So you're down in Orlando,
Hmm.
and do you imagine setting any books up there or down there from Indiana in the future?
I do. I think Orlando is an interesting place. It's very multicultural. So I'm always like thinking witness protection is probably hiding a bunch of, witnesses here. And there's a lot you can do in Orlando. People do think it's like theme parks and fun, but, I think, yeah, I would think I would love to write, or at least in Florida in general. I mean, we've got the Everglades, we've got like, a lot of stuff that could be potential book settings for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard they're like underground cities almost, like the theme parks and things. You could have all kinds of chaos
Oh,
happening
yeah.
in some of those locations. It could be
Oh,
really, really
yes. That would be interesting, actually. Yeah.
yeah, a witness protection person who's also a character actor at Disney, maybe like oh, of course I'm blanking on the name. Someone from Monsters Inc. where they're in costume and you can't see them, and so they're safe.
They're chasing a bad guy in a costume. That would
Yeah,
be hilarious. That'd be awesome. I love it.
you can have a lot of fun writing that one, even as
Yeah.
you have suspense in it.
Yeah.
So, what do you see doing next? Is this your only book, or do you hope to write more?
So with Sunrise, we actually are doing a novella for 2023. So it'll be Sammy Abrams and Kate, and we'll be having like a three-book collection of a novella with the Elite Guardians. So maybe some of your favorite characters will pop up again. And then for 2024, yeah, 2024. It's like you're so far out in the future. I don't even know what year it is. We are going to have a new set of Guardians.
Oh, how
So
fun!
there's going to be new Guardians coming, a new location, like a new city. So it's a lot of fun. So we're working on that.
Oh, that's awesome because I loved all three of your books. I
Oh,
thought you, Kate, and Sammy just did a great job extending the series. So now it's going to be like NCIS LA or NCIS.
yes,
They put one like in not Las Vegas, New Orleans. And
yes,
so that's
exactly.
so
We are doing it in Savannah. So we actually had like a trip. The three of us met up and we just kind of toured around Savannah. So
oh
uh,
my
yeah,
gosh. Now, I don't think of Savannah as being a place where a lot of bodyguards are needed, though.
you can find crime probably in any city. We've got some good ideas coming along.
I can't wait to hear more
Yeah.
about those. That is so fun. And Michelle says, yay for the 2024 news because she hadn't heard about that. And I was
Oh,
thinking the same thing. So that's really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it is. It's been a lot of fun. So we get to keep kind of going. So that's going to be great.
So when you aren't writing and you're not working in insurance, what do you like to read?
Oh, I like to read actually all genres, but I mean, of course, I prefer suspense. So I do read a lot of suspense novels. But you know, I will pick up other novels as well. Mostly fiction. I don't do a lot of nonfiction,
Yeah,
but
I think most of my nonfiction tends to be research for
yeah,
books, or
that's
it's
true.
like leadership books or something.
Yeah,
Now, Nina wanted to know, did you go to Leopoldo's ice cream when you were in Savannah?
we did. Yes, we did. There was a giant line, but we waited in it to make sure we went. Yes,
So was it good? Is it something I
yes.
should do?
It was really good. They had like really unique flavors. I think I had like pecan, or some flavor like just kind of local. Like I was a flavor I've never had. So it was fun. It was really neat. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're writing the novella, you're
hmm
going to be writing another novel for Sunrise.
hmm
What's next after that?
Oh, you know, I have some proposals in the works, some ideas. You know, I mean, at this point, who knows? I would like to keep writing though, like maybe write my own series. So I've got some ideas out there. So we'll see what happens.
That's awesome. So other than traveling to Savannah, where would you go if you could go anywhere in the world? If I just handed you like a magic plane ticket.
Well, I'm actually planning a trip for next year. I love Ireland, so I'm going back. I've been to Dublin before, so I'm going back. My mom and I, we took a trip a few years ago now, so we're going back. Dublin and then maybe Southern Ireland and to tour around. So I'm excited about that.
Oh,
It's
that's
like just
awesome.
my favorite place. Like, even though I've already been there, I'm like, I don't need to see anything else. I'm good. I just want to go back to Ireland.
That is so fun. It's one of the places when I was asking my mom a couple months ago,
Yeah.
okay, where would you like to go? She said, well, maybe Ireland. So I think I might
Uh,
be emailing you going, okay,
yeah.
so where do we go?
Yeah.
Because I have been in the Dublin airport and that's it.
Mm.
And that's not
Oh
enough.
no, that's not enough. No.
Yeah, not
No,
at
it
all.
was very, very fun. I decided I was going to run a half marathon. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go big. So I did it in Dublin.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. The only half marathons I've done have been in Indianapolis.
Oh,
So that would be so cool. Was it, well, obviously it was outdoor, but was it all in Dublin or did they have you go out into the countryside too?
it was all through the city, through some of their big, tourist areas, and then it ended in like a big park.
Oh,
But
how
it was like the rock
fun.
and roll series. Yeah. I just was like, I'll probably only run one. And I did a few others. I had to kind of stop because I kept injuring myself, but I had a couple injuries. But yeah, I did a couple more, but yeah, I was like, I'm probably only going to do one. So make it big.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, how do you fit it into your schedule?
I love to write like when I have a couple hours of uninterrupted time. Like I know a lot of people are like, I have 20 minutes, I'm gonna write. But usually, I mean, Saturdays or Sunday afternoons, just kind of take it a few hours, and I go to Starbucks and I just kind of set up like a little office there, and I don't know, something about like the whir of the machines and the background noise. It's like I can focus and pay attention. So that seems to be working for me.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
wrote many a book at Panera and
Yes.
some at Starbucks. It's like if it's total silence,
Yeah.
I actually get distracted. I
Yeah.
need something going on in the background because otherwise I'm like,
Yes.
what am I missing? Something's
Yeah.
going on and I'm missing it. And
Yeah.
so,
And I seem to surf the internet less when I'm not at my house. I don't know. At my house, I just get distracted, or I'll be like, oh, I got to check the wash, or I got to, and I'm like
yeah,
not focusing. So,
I'm the same way. There's something that needs to be done and I hit a block and I'm like, I don't know what to do next. So let's go do something non-writing related.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
So where can people find you if they want to stay up to date on what you're doing? Are you on Facebook, the internet? Where's your
Yes,
home?
I'm on Facebook. I have an author Facebook, but I have an Instagram account. So I like to do book reviews. So I have Best in Suspense kind of as my username for Instagram, and I'll post photos and books and things like that. And then Best in Suspense is my review site. I have Kelly Underwood author as well. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I'm doing some drawings for some books, autographed books. So I'm trying to have people on my newsletter list just to kind of get like, and I only send out one update maybe a month so people aren't getting spammed, but that's the best way to keep up with me, to know what's going on, is through the newsletter. So on either site, you can register for the newsletter.
And autographed books are always
Yes,
the best.
yes. So I am giving away some autographed books through people who are signed up for the newsletter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So since you're the Best in Suspense reviewer, what are some of your favorites that you've read in like the last 12 months, yearish?
Oh, I read several. So Targeted just came out, and it's like three of my favorite authors.
Yeah.
It's Lynn Blackburn, Lynette Eason, and Natalie Walters. But I like it. So I'm not a fan of novellas because they're always too short. I'm like, I want more. But this is so great because it pulls in characters from previous books. They're all three fantastic, authors. So it's so fun to kind of read their stuff. And I love having some of the older characters come in. I read The Premonition at Withers Farms by Jamie Jo Wright, and I loved it. Like, I think the House on Foster Hill was my favorite. Now I'm like, ooh, it's kind of tied now with this new one because it was really good.
Yeah, I've got that one on my to be read pile. And I'm like, I probably won't get to it for a little while, but she's such a good writer.
Yes, and it helped that I read it around Halloween time because it's got that creepy vibe.
Yeah, she does Gothic really well, where the whole setting seems to become part of the story.
Exactly. And then I got to pre-read one of Lisa Phillips, Burn the Dawn, in her new series. And that was just excellent. So I think that comes out in November, but that's a really good series, like a thriller series that she has. So I think those are probably my top three that I've been like obsessing over and like, I want to talk about these books.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I enjoy doing a lot too. Is just that I read so many books that it's great to be able to talk about them and just, let people know, here are some books that I enjoyed that you might enjoy. So I love that you were sharing your love for books with other people. And I have to agree, Targeted was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And I think it's a challenge to get novellas where they're satisfying, that you don't feel like, it was shortchanged. It's too short to really do anything. And I thought all three of them did a great job with that.
Exactly. Yeah. They pack so much action and suspense and tension into one short story or shorter. Yeah, it was perfect.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, I am so excited for you on the release of Defending Honor, because it was I really enjoyed it. I loved the way you kind of blended Ziva kind of character and Laila along with the ultra rich guy who tried to get away from it and now he's been sucked back in. And then you had so many red herrings. There were so many people who could have been involved. You really did a great job with that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So it was so much fun to read. And for those of you who are watching who want to read Defending Honor, you can pick it up anywhere that books are sold. It was really good and did a wonderful job extending Lynette Eason's Elite Guardians series.